let's move on to the stupid royal racism scandal, because this is pathetic. It's worse than pathetic, actually, but it does harken back to the first segment we did, where, as you were saying, someone has the whip hand over someone else. And it's very evident at who, and this is a racial who, has the whip hand over the other who, because of simply the response to what is a total non-event, in my mind. But anyway, before we begin, if you would like to support us, go over to our merch store, merch.lotus.com, and buy a t-shirt. This is a great way of supporting us, and then you get something nice. And I love this. This is a kind of extraction from the Solzhenitsyn quote. It's not really a Solzhenitsyn quote, but they're lying. They know we know they are lying. We know they are lying, and yet they are still lying.
So true.
It is.
But Carl, you've got to get some merch for people that aren't 12-year-old boys.
Well, that's it.
No, like not t-shirts.
Oh, well, yeah, no, there's a whole variety of stuff on there. You know, there's mugs, there's, it's not, different kinds of shirts.
T-shirts and hoodies is very David Cameron.
Okay, fair enough. Good point, and I take the criticism. There are lots of different kinds of merch. It's just that was just the one I happened to. That's the first on the list, so that's the one I got for the thing. But anyway, let's begin with the breaking news that a minority woman's feelings have been hurt.
Was she a minority, though? That's the question.
Well, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, we shouldn't use the term minority anymore, should we?
No. Global majority, I think, is the term.
It is, yes, it is. This was an interaction between Lady Sarah Hussey and Ngozi Fulani, where they were at some sort of royal dinner.
Those names are hilarious, though, aren't they? It's like a comedy sketch.
Oh, yeah.
Hussey versus...
Fulani, Ngozi
I love
Fulani.
That. That's great.
I mean, it's getting very Monty Python-esque vibes from British politics these days. But basically, it came from her essentially saying, well, okay, where are you really from? And it's like, oh, God, that's...
It's the oldest one in the book. I've had it all my life. It really it's a Lenny Henry sketch, actually. It's, where are you from? No, where are you really from?
Yeah.
Where are you really from? Like, I used to have it all the time. I'm from Mansfield, Nottinghamshire.
Sure.
So people say to me, where are you from? I'm like, London. They're like, where are you really from? Oh, I'm from Nottinghamshire. Where are you really from? Oh, Mansfield. And then eventually I'm like, do you want to know what my ethnicity is?
Yeah.
Do you want to know my heritage? You can ask that. That's an okay question. It doesn't make you racist.
Yeah.
And that's what most people want to find out.
Yeah.
But even if you're not of an ethnic minority state, or what's the new term for these? What's the new term if you're not brown? Well, if you're not a person of color, it's still an appropriate question to ask someone, like, where are you from? No, where's your family from? Or where are you really from?
Well,
like,
some European comes over with a strange accent. I'm like, where are you from?
But even if it's two English people talking together, it's like, well, are you from Yorkshire? Which part? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
It's a genuine question, and people are interested in people. People have always been interested in people.
And you ask it in order to be able to follow it up with some more information about that person. So it's like, it's getting to know one another.
It would only be racist if you said, I don't like people from where you're from.
I can't even imagine saying that I haven't heard that from somewhere. The guy comes over, where are you from? France. Oh, I don't like people from France. Like, you would never do it. You would never do it, would you? It's insane. But anyway, so this is apparently the conversation, right? Can we get the next one up? So we'll go through the conversation. Can you get that the second picture up, please?
The fact that she's transcribed the conversation as well. First of all, I think that's illegal. But second of all, it's such bad form, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But we'll take her word for this. We'll take it as true. Where are you from? Me, Sistah Space? No, where do you come from? We're based in Hackney. No, what part of Africa are you from? I don't know. They didn't leave any records.
That's just rude.
That is. Well, you must know where you're from. I spent some time in France. Where are you from? Here, UK. No, but what nationality are you? I'm born here and I'm British. No, but where do you really come from? Where do your people come from? Mm-hmm. My people, lady, what is this? Oh, I can see I'm going to have to have a challenge getting you to say where you're from. When did you first come here? Lady, I'm a British national. My parents came here in the 50s. When, I knew we'd get there in the end. You're Caribbean. No, lady, I'm of African heritage, Caribbean descent and British nationality. Oh my God.
So she's Afro-Caribbean.
Yes.
And it's not that she's not proud of this fact, because she's got a whole company set up.
We'll get into just how proud of this she is. Right. In
fact,
fact,
even at the event, she wasn't like, look at what she's wearing. She
Yes.
wasn't wearing traditional English garb. I don't know what custom that is. I don't think that's Caribbean. It looks more African to me. But that is clearly an interesting way to dress. She's making a statement. She wants to be recognised as different.
Yes, that is precisely it. I mean, this is no one national costume of an African country either. She's got various various different like Nigerian dress or Ghanaian beads and Egyptian earrings.
Right. So she's confused.
Well, not even necessarily she's confused. She's just abstract from it.
Okay.
Right. She's a Pan-Africanist. If you can go to the next image, in fact, John. you see like, wearing like leopard like things, and it's just like, okay, so you're essentially cosplaying as someone from Africa.
Yeah.
Right. You're not from Africa. You're from Britain, as you said. Your parents are from the Caribbean. As those is all normal. It's all completely normal, completely unsurprising. But you dress as if you come from some strange remote place in Africa.
Yeah.
And that's why she was like. If you get to the next one as well, John. Like again, you can see like the Egyptian earrings, the sort of Pan-Africanist colouring on the headband and stuff like this.
Well,
like
Ethiopian there. There's big.
Yeah, Ethiopian, and it's like right. So when she's like, "Where do you come from?" Maybe she's looking at what you're wearing and what you're presenting, and saying, "I don't know where in Africa that's from."
Yeah.
Because you appear to be signalling that you are from a particular place in Africa.
And then dreadlocks, which is mostly a Caribbean thing as well.
Yep.
There's all kinds of stuff going on there.
Yeah.
She wants to be recognised
As non-British.
Yeah.
She's not saying I'm from Hackney.
I think she set out, and this might be wrong, but I think she set out to take offence.
Oh yes, and by the end of it, we'll be able to show that that's probably the case. And the lady she was talking to was Lady Susan Hussey. If we can see the next picture, she's in her 80s.
Yep.
She's just. I mean, she probably thought herself to in an attempt to be culturally sensitive.
Well, she was clearly making an effort to talk to this lady.
Yes, and find out where, to try and, she may have been to Africa or something in her youth or something like this and say, oh, I went there and, whatever, nothing
From
wrong.
my experience of racists, they tend to avoid me. They don't tend to come up to me and ask me questions and try to have a conversation with me.
They don't have a polite inquiry about your family history and background.
No.
They tend to shout slurs, right?
Yeah.
Weird. That's weird. Racism's taken on such strange and convoluted forms these days.
It's because we've almost eradicated it, so we're having to invent it where it doesn't exist.
Yes, that's exactly right. Anyway, so moving on, the BBC jumped in on this. They were like, brilliant, racism,
Oh, of course
got it.
Oh, they would have loved it. They'd be lapping it up.
Oh, yeah. Ngozi Fulani said she was completely stunned that anyone would
And
care.
is that her actual name as well?
I believe it is, actually, yeah.
Okay.
I believe it is.
It's not a very Caribbean name as far as I know.
No, it's not. Although I don't know. I mean, maybe she's adopted it. I couldn't find any information about it. But she said that she felt that this was a form of abuse.
What was asking her questions?
Yes.
She's not going to get very far in life, is she?
No.
That she thinks it's abusive to ask her questions.
But also, why present yourself in such a confusing manner and then get offended and call it abusive when people are like, so where are you from?
So tell us about Sistah Space.
Yes, let's talk about Sistah Space. This is a domestic violence support charity, which is a noble endeavour, obviously. They say, at Sistah Space, we support women and families affected by domestic abuse, while also ensuring that cultural factors are not only considered but understood. We are experts on the intersectionality of racism and gender-based violence, and are working to improve the violence against... I think they mean reduce the violence against women and girls, and end ignorance around the black experience of domestic abuse. And they also tell us that 86% of African Caribbean women have been abused.
But the headline here is this is a company set up specifically for African and Caribbean heritage.
Yeah, well, not a non-profit, I imagine it is.
Right.
Charity. Yeah.
But those are the three words they use quite a lot on this, and the headline at the top was African Caribbean heritage.
Constantly.
Therefore, asking her about her heritage should be something she's used to talking about, surely.
And you would think she would want to talk.
Yeah, because she's got a whole organisation set up about it.
That's exactly right.
Actually, that's a good segue.
Yes.
Oh, actually, I'm of Afro-Caribbean heritage, and my organisation, da-da-da-da-da.
Because I find that African or Caribbean women aren't being properly supported when they've been abused. But you think that would be completely normal.
And you're right, a very noble cause.
Absolutely. And
You'd want the royal family to know about it.
Well,
Or you'd want anyone influential to know about it, so you can get patrons and support.
Exactly. But instead, you ask me a question, and I can frame you as a racist. And it's interesting as well. Like Callum found this, which is a good question. Who are the abusers precisely? And actually, well, racism's at the bottom of it. She says black women don't want to risk their abusers being murdered.
Huh? Sorry?
Well, in her opinion,
Wait, what?
and she says women want the abuse to stop, but we know what happens to black men in police custody.
What happens to black men in police custody? They get arrested?
Well, I guess they get George Floyded.
Really? In the UK?
I mean, I don't.
They're just making things up now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's literally no evidence to show this. And in fact, I looked into this a while ago, and it turned out that it was the white working class who suffered the most police violence.
Yeah.
But
police violence isn't a major concern in this country.
No, not really. In fact, if anything, a lack of police violence is a major concern in this country.
People like this are stoking it.
Oh yes, without a doubt. But the problem, of course, with police in this country is that they're utterly soft and incapable of bringing down a criminal.
Policing, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so she's constantly going on about Africa.
Does she live in Africa?
No. I've got no evidence that she's ever been to Africa either.
Okay.
But, just posting things like this, Today a few of our African master drummers will stand with us briefly because we say Africa. It's like, so what?
Oh, so when we say Africa, African drummers come and stand with us. Is that
Yeah.
huh?
I don't know. But, like...
Our culture and our tradition is to give thanks. So she identifies as African in culture and tradition.
Yes. Which I don't know, nothing wrong with that, She wants to.
Well, there is something wrong with that. If you're saying you're British and you're identifying first and foremost with African culture and tradition, in what way are you British? But secondly, if you're identifying as African in culture and tradition, someone asks you where you're from, then you say Africa, and this is my culture, this is my tradition.
Exactly.
This is why I'm wearing this garb.
Yeah, and you can say, well, I currently reside in Hackney or whatever it is, whatever, but what? Don't get offended when you're presenting yourself as having a foreign origin, and then people ask you about your foreign origin. If you should turn up in a suit or a dress or something, it was completely normal.
I do feel a bit sorry for her because if she's British born and bred and her parents are Caribbean born and bred, none of them are African.
Really,
Afro-Caribbean ethnicity, but she's not African.
No.
She's clearly lost and searching, and she has no identity.
Yeah, I mean,
for example, our fault. Again, we haven't been welcoming and inclusive enough.
Completely,
haven't helped people integrate. She clearly hasn't integrated into English society.
Don't even get me started about the kind of lack of, I guess we call it the heroic narrative that the English should have instilled in young people generally, not just, Afro-Caribbean, but just generally about the heritage of their own country. I mean, I'm not even going to go on it'll be an hour-long rant about it. So we'll just move on.
This is the best country in the world with some of the best history, some dodgy history, but some of the best history in the world, and that's something to be proud of, and something to unite everyone, no matter your skin color or where your parents come from. And that's what we should have been telling people like her as she was growing up.
Oh, 100%. Moving on though, right? Yeah. So she regularly dresses. I mean, she says here, look, my necklace and belt are made of cowrie shells from Ghana.
Black Herstory Month. What's herstory?
Wow, it's history as told through the eyes of women, I suppose.
But history isn't history because of men.
No.
That's not where the etymology of the word history comes from.
No, it means inquiries.
These people are insane.
Yes, and not terribly well educated. But the point is, she's like, these cowrie shells came from Ghana, my attire's from there, thinking of Africa. Okay, great, but don't get surprised when people are like, so where's that from?
Yeah.
You literally carry on. And she has some kind of bizarre thoughts. Now, me and Callum had to debate this. I thought that she was just grifting, but Callum's like, well, maybe she's trapped in this kind of ideological box and she sees everything through this lens. So this is an Indian chap who appears to be an Indian chap who's dressed in a World War I soldier's uniform.
Looks great.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Because of course, Remembrance Sunday.
Yeah.
He was collecting money for it.
Good lad.
Yeah, you would think. But she says, I was just heading to Sainsbury and I did not expect so many soldiers. My mind truly went to Africa and my guard went up.
Huh? You're going to have to break this one down for me a little bit.
I don't know. I don't know.
One is not so many. But her mind went straight to Africa again.
That's the first criticism. There was not that many soldiers.
Yeah.
But as if British soldiers were marching around Africa in World War I.
Are we at war with Africa?
I wasn't aware of it.
I honestly have no idea what she's alluding to there.
Why would we send World War I soldiers?
Again, I think she needs some support. She needs some help. I think, there's something going on there.
Yeah.
Deeper.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I thought it was a grift, to be honest, but Callum was like, I think maybe she's a bit trapped.
I don't like the word grifting because I don't think most people are grifting. I think most people genuinely believe in the nonsense that they're spouting.
I agree. I believe in my nonsense.
Yeah, me too.
But this just felt like really. Oh, come on, this looks desperate, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Come
on.
Does.
It's clutching at straws.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to the next one. She's upset that Jamaican criminals are being deported back to Jamaica. The songs of South Africa apartheid system came immediately to mind.
Wow, again, she's obsessed.
It's mad, isn't it?
So, Jamaican criminals being ported back to Jamaica, that sounds like a good thing.
Yes.
If foreigners are committing crimes, they should be sent back to where they came from.
Yes.
Basic. But also, if she's...
Common sense,
if she's so proud of Jamaica, Jamaicans going back to Jamaica should be a great thing. But what's South Africa got to do with it again? An apartheid system. No, we're not saying black and white people have to be separate. It's like if you are a criminal from Jamaica, you should go back to Jamaica. Just as if you're a criminal from Germany, you should go back to Germany.
Well, I mean, the South African apartheid system came to my mind when you said that. Did Jamaica have an apartheid system?
No.
I'm not aware of one, yeah.
No.
So I don't know why. But this is the thing, isn't it? To her, Africa is a very abstract thing. And so what is one of the largest continents on the earth with, thousands of different cultures has been compressed into Africa. This is just one category.
That's the old-fashioned English racist view of Africa, isn't it?
It kind of is, actually, yeah. Actually, now that you point it out, it actually kind of is. But it's weird, the people that she's speaking in defense of. I mean,
her heart goes out to all these criminals.
Well, yeah, and let me just give you a quick rundown of what they've done. Manslaughter, firearms offences, violent offences, rape or sexual offences, and 14 drug offences.
Lovely people.
So, they probably raped black women.
Well, it doesn't really matter who they raped. They're horrible people, and they should be in prison.
Well, yeah, I know, but she runs a domestic violence against black women charity.
Good point.
She's just like, two of them are rape and sexual violence. A bunch of them are violent offences, so again, probably against women.
It doesn't matter what they've done.
No.
The primary element there is that they're black. That's all she cares about.
That's literally all she cares about.
That's the wrong allegiance.
Absolutely. That's a crazy perspective.
I'd struggle with her allegiance being women, because I think that's quite idpol. But even that I would think is more beneficial than the allegiance being their skin colour.
At least it's inclusive of half the population,
Yeah.
But the thing is as well, it's not like Jamaica's like, yeah, you can't do this. No, Jamaica deports foreign criminals too. Here's an example that I found the other day. In fact, for this, there was an American child molester, accused child molester, who hid on Jamaica for 11 years.
Why did it look like that?
No idea, but they eventually found him and deported him back to America so he could be charged.
Quite right.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a child molester, get out.
Yeah, you're an illegal national hiding from justice in our country.
Yeah.
Deport. So absolutely correct. Anyway, Her Royal Highness from the Nigerian royal family had something to say about it.
Oh, no. Of course she did.
Big fan of Dr. Shola.
She's not an actual doctor. Let's not call her doctor.
No, but she is an actual princess.
Yes, she is. And her family did trade slaves.
They did. So I always like to defer to royalty on this show. She says, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry told you of racism in the royal family and the household. Yeah, of course, Meghan Markle as well now. She was vilified, abused, and violated for speaking the truth.
No, she was the one doing the vilifying, the abuse, and the violating.
That's only because you care about the truth, Calvin.
Yeah.
Ngozi Fulani's experience with Lady Susan Hussey wasn't isolated one-off or a bad apple at Buckingham Palace. You can't reform this.
Oh, right. Okay, let's just shut it down then.
Well, I just think we shouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Can't reform it. Well, there we go. It's too big a job. Dr. Schiller's got a good point. Let's just ignore it. Anyway, and of course, Miss Fulani had something to say about Meghan Markle, too. She's a survivor of domestic violence.
Okay. What, who? Meghan?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
No, Meghan Markle hasn't made that claim.
Oh.
It's...
Wow.
Yeah.
Sistah Space has some inside information.
Ngozi Fulani is making that claim. She's a survivor of domestic violence from her in-laws. That's a hell of a claim.
Where is she? I'm glad Hypocrite Peers left ITV.
Yes. I mean, so am I.
She's got something to say about everything.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong.
There's a picture of her with King Charles.
Yes. When he was Prince Charles, yeah. Right. I mean, I agree with about half of everything she says. That's a really good question.
Why is she always in this circle?
That's a really good question.
And why is she still going if she thinks they're horrible racists?
It's an even better question. We'll get to that, right? So she's, of course, defending Meghan Markle because she's black, which...
What, who, Meghan?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's a very tenuous thing to say.
She seems to be getting whiter and whiter as well.
If they didn't tell me she was black, I wouldn't have known. If you can go to the next one, she was complaining that Meghan Markle wasn't allowed on the balcony. And it's like, yeah, it's just because of racism. And I quite like the way she tweets here, like, Harry and Meghan won't be allowed on the balcony. They're in a completely different category to Andrew. He's linked to sexual crimes. Harry married and had children with a black woman, which, okay. Yeah. All an exclusively white balcony, only black people banned, racism.
Well, it's true. Only black people were banned, but not because they were black. I love that. They always make this stupid correlation. If someone happens to be black, it's because they're black.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Harry and Meghan were not banned from the balcony because of Meghan's skin colour, whatever way she wants to identify.
No.
Sometimes it's Caucasian, sometimes it's not.
Because of the things she did.
Yeah.
That's why.
But, I mean, Prince Andrew should be banned too, in all honesty.
Obviously.
Yeah, obvious reasons.
Yeah. But I love that she tweets like Trump,
Racism!
Yeah, many such cases. Sad. She had a moment on ITV where she said, look, I felt that this was a form of abuse. So, okay, I don't agree. And then she started tweeting that she was all on her own when she was meeting with Camilla, and that was tragic. And you just get up the second
last one, though.
Mm-hmm.
The arrogance of these people. Go back one.
Sorry, yeah, go back one, John.
Sorry, John. Making you work for a living.
Yeah.
Has not heard from the palace. She would be happy to have a discussion. How the arrogance of that? I would be happy to have a discussion with the royal family.
Excuse me, I know I'm ruining your public reputation, but would you like to come to me for a discussion?
You don't demand an audience with the royal family.
Well, depends on what you consider your position in the social hierarchy to be.
Exactly that. Is she holding the whip?
Let's go to the next one, where she decides to tell us the truth about it. If you can get the second one up. She says, there was no one to report it to. Couldn't report it to the Queen Consort. Plus, it was such a shock to me and two other women that were stunned into temporary silence. I just stood at the edge of the room, smiled and engaged briefly with those who spoke to me until I could leave. Just marginalised.
Oh, she didn't have an opportunity to speak to the Queen. Oh.
Totally marginalised. If there wasn't video of her speaking to Camilla, then I might be more persuaded.
Ah.
Right? But actually, if you can play this just from the beginning, because this is the end of this video, that's her. Look, you turn the sound off. That's literally her engaging in a conversation with Camilla, surrounded by loads of other people, nowhere near the edge of the room, not being ignored.
Okay, now I take it back. This is grift.
Exactly, right? And I agree with you about the term grifter. I mean, generally, I don't like using it, but come on.
Yeah, she's blatantly lying.
Yeah,
this is not even her truth.
No, this is video evidence disproves her truth. So I'm sorry. Come on. Right, and so just as a so there we go. That's the end of that. Right.
And if she was abused, why is she hanging around to have further conversations with royalty? Why is she not straight out of that horrible racist institution?
Yeah, great question. One that we'll never get an answer to. But she's literally on video talking to Camilla, being like, "Yeah, I stood at the end of the room. Come on." Anyway, after all of this truth speaking, she did actually come out and say, well, look, I actually didn't want Lady Hussey, what was her name? Hussey, sorry, to be fired. That's not what I asked for. She says, she was employed by Buckingham Palace and it's their decision to make. I had no part in it. I would have preferred it not to have happened.
Okay, well, I mean, that's fair enough. At least she doesn't believe in cancel culture. She's using it to her advantage. She
is. But again, there's something about the way that that's being said that feels, I don't want to say cynical, but a bit, you didn't say this in advance, right?
Well, it's like we said on Twitter. So what did you want then?
Yeah.
If this is not the response you wanted, what did you want?
Yes. And everyone is on your side. You're getting all of these interviews saying, yeah, I was racially abused. But at no point in those did you say, well, don't fire her. I don't want her fired. No. She was just racially abusing me. I mean, don't fire someone over that. Like, come on.
I'm not convinced that Miss Fulani is the victim in all of this at all.
No, it seems to me that she's very much not. But anyway, we'll leave that there.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the premium articles we do, this one on accessibility in video games, a sign of the times, with an audio track for silver and gold tier members. If you'd like to find out what else we're putting out, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.